what's amazing about Purple Rain is that so many people have tried to do the magic of the artist at the exact right point in his career, and the exact right movie, and and the timing of the soundtrack versus the release of the film. It's really a miraculous situation that you guys pulled off. So, what was the genesis of that?
Okay, I'd like to take credit, but first of all, let me say that my partner Joe Ruffalo is in the audience.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and, Joe Ruffalo.
Stereo, stand up.
Stand up for a second, Joe.
And Steve Farnoli, whose only job, the reason he became a partner in Joe and my company was that Prince demanded that I move to Minneapolis with my family, and I was already, a pretty successful manager at the time. So Steve had to spend 24 hours a day. But anyway, Steve was on tour with Prince. Prince wasn't big. We'd done a good job. He was a couple of million records, and he could sell 1,000 seats, 2,000, maybe 2,500. I send Farnoli a new contract for him to sign because the first 5-year contract's going to be up in about 6 months. We've done, I think, a magnificent job, so I'm sure he'll sign it. Farnoli calls, and he tells Joe and I, "You're not going to believe this, but he won't sign it unless you get him a major motion picture. And you can't get some drug dealer to finance it. You got to get a major studio, and he wants his name above the title." I mean, I couldn't even believe, I knew about films, but I couldn't believe that he was, so, knowing Prince, you have to do pretty much. If he starts driving it, you want to go. So I went to our lawyer, and Skip Brittenham, and he gave me William Blinn, and we got a screenplay. Mm-hmm. It's kind of TV. He had done Brian's Song, which was an excellent TV movie, and Prince just wanted to start, so I'm trying to find a director, and I'll go quickly. Every director in town passed. Every studio passed. After all, there was unknown everybody, and we're going to make a major motion picture. So to make a long story short, my last try is for Jamie Foley. Mm-hmm. And I see this movie, I screen this movie, Reckless. It hadn't come out yet. I'm all by myself in the screening room. The movie ends. I stand up, and this kid comes down the aisle and says, "What did you think?" And I said, "Oh, it was okay. I liked the editing." And he says, "Oh, I did that. That was Albert." And he says, so I said, "I'm trying to," and I tell him my story. He said, "Well, you ought to see my student film." And it was a film called Jazz, and it was magnificent. But the fact is, that's how it started. And I'm going to cut right to the chase. I go to Albert. I know I have to start the movie or Prince is going to go crazy. And when his creative juices were going, he had to start. Mm-hmm. So to make a long story short, I go to Arts Deli, I think. Dupar's, excuse me. We've been arguing about where this happened. Two old couple, but anyway. So I offer him the movie in $75,000, which was the DGA. And he passed. I said, "You haven't got a pot to piss in, excuse my French. How could you pass?" He said, "Well, it's too square." I said, "Well, I understand that."
Well, wait. What did you say for real?
Well, I passed, and but it wasn't at the restaurant. I had passed the day before.
Are you going to get like...
No, this is important. I passed because I read it and I didn't think it was large enough. It was a small film, and I just felt that it could be much larger. And so I said to him, "I'm going to pass." He immediately got very angry, used a lot of bad language, and he said, "Everybody in town is passing, and now you're on a D list. You don't exist. You're just an editor." And
Bob?
Yes.
Bob did that to you?
I can't believe it.
So you're just an editor, and so why should I even bother speaking to you? And I said, I went to film school. I know nothing, but you're in the music business, and you know less than I do.
Whoa.
By the way, if you should all know that he's a writer, and this really sounds good, but this is not.
That's what happened.
Albert, how At that point, how familiar were you with Prince and his music?
Okay, interestingly enough, 9 months earlier, I was in my apartment in Silver Lake. Yeah. And the song 1999 came on. And I immediately got up from my desk, and I realized at that moment that this is an anthem, and that basically I could make a movie with that song. So it was really interesting to me that months later, I'm editing Reckless, I meet Bob, I pass on an offer, and I just said, and it was really based on the fact that I heard 1999. And I said, this could be a much bigger amount. And so we met at Dupar's, and he explained to me what had happened and why this had not gotten started. And I said basically what he needs to do is send a writer-director to Minneapolis, sit with Prince and the entire organization, and really try to understand what was going on there. And then once that was done, write from the heart. And I said, that's the only way this can even have a chance. He liked the deal, and I said, all you have to do is let me meet him tomorrow night, and if it works out, great, and if it doesn't, you're out a plane ticket and a motel room. And he said, that's a deal I can live with.
That part of it's true.
That's a deal I can live with. So the next day I was literally picked up and from the studio I was working at, and I was brought to Minneapolis. Now the funny thing is, at the time, Bob rarely spoke to Steve, who he just explained was with Prince 24/7. So I get off the plane, the first thing Steve does is come up to me and says, you know that story you pitched Bob? Forget it. We're doing the original script. I don't want to hear about this story.
I don't know what.
That's the script we're doing. Bob doesn't know what he's doing, and that's all there is to it.
Wow.
Because I had been in film school, I understood, because we were taught in film school, that there will be people like this in the film business.
You know, Albert, you're writing a movie here.
No, but it's true.
I can't believe Stevie said that.
He did.
So
So that evening, I met Prince.
Yes.
And the fascinating thing about being in the hotel, Steve said, you're going to meet Prince tonight. He's going to come out of the elevator at 12 midnight. And you'll meet him there. We're going to go to a restaurant, have a meal, and you're going to talk to him about why you love the script as it is. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. And I wanted to separate myself from him and Chick, who was Prince's bodyguard, is about 6'5" and weighed 250 pounds. And I said, okay. And I walked away from them, and I was standing on the side of the room, the lobby, and Prince came out on my right-hand side out of the elevator and walked all the way across the lobby to see Steve and Chick, because he didn't know I was there.
Was it midnight?
It was midnight. It was 12:01. And in that walk over, I realized pretty much the rest of the story, based on just, I saw a vulnerable kid who was a little shy and just insulated. And I said, okay. And we went to the restaurant, and in spite of the fact that Prince said, okay, what do you think about the script that's written? When can we start? And I said, I'm not here to discuss the script. There's a new story. Here it is. And basically, within 10 minutes, he said to me, okay, how is it that in 10 minutes you tell me my life story? And I said, if you're willing to take the hit, because I want the father to hit you pretty hard in the front of the film, if you're willing to do that, we can make a great movie. And he said, why is that so important to you? And I said, because there isn't a person on the planet who doesn't want to take a hit at a rock star. And he understood that and said, let's do it.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic.